If you've always wanted to learn Korean, but you don't know how to start, and just thinking about starting to learn Korean overwhelms you, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm giving you a real step-by-step study plan to go from zero Korean to being able to hold simple conversations, as well as understand basic native Korean content. All within 6 months. And you only need 1 hour a day. This is a 6-month studying routine I wish I had when I had just started learning Korean. As a little disclaimer, obviously you're not going to be fluent within 6 months, but if you actually stick to this plan, by the end of it, you should be able to read Korean comfortably, understand basic Korean grammar, talk about everyday topics, and follow simple Korean content without feeling completely lost. Now let's jump right into it.
I know sooner or later it will come.
Month 1. Learn Hangeul and get used to Korean. If you want to learn Korean, the first thing you need to do is learn Hangeul, the Korean alphabet. Don't even think about learning Korean without learning Hangeul, because that's just gonna make it harder for you on the long run. Luckily, the Korean alphabet is actually very easy. What you're gonna do during the first couple of days is find a good Hangeul explanation online. There are tons of good Hangeul explanations. You really don't need to dig that hard. Just write Hangeul explanation on Google and you're gonna find all the resources you need. Read the explanation and then start memorizing all the consonants and vowels. I recommend making flashcards. Flashcards always are the best possible way to memorize something, in my opinion. Once you have the consonants and vowels down, practice reading syllable blocks and always read everything out loud. You should be able to learn the Korean alphabet within a few days to maximum a week. It took me only 1 day to learn the Korean alphabet, so it's really not that hard. And if you study for 1 hour a day, 1 week should be more than enough. But when I say maximum a week, I don't mean that you are able to read fluently. You're basically gonna read something and you're gonna have to think about what letter you're reading very consciously. But that's totally normal and that's okay. Don't worry about it too much. For the rest of month 1, from week 2 to week 4, you're gonna get familiar with basic Korean. Right now, we assume that you don't know a single word in Korean yet. All you've learned is the Korean alphabet. So what you're gonna do for 60 minutes a day, find any list online with basic Korean expressions. For example, basic greetings, numbers, days of the week, common expressions, just super basic vocabulary. And then I want you to dedicate 60 minutes a day just to memorize those. When you're learning these basic expressions, I need you to try and read out loud all the words you're learning, because at this point you're not that familiar with reading Korean yet. So any second you use to actually read Korean out loud is going to really help you in becoming more comfortable with reading Korean and recognizing Korean letters without thinking about it. At this stage, you don't need to worry about memorizing hundreds of words yet. I think learning 5 new words a day is already more than enough, because you're just trying to get familiar with Korean. And the main goal of month 1 is actually to learn Hangeul and get comfortable looking at Korean. By the end of month 1, reading Korean should already feel much less intimidating. Now let's move on to month 2. Month 1 was the very boring first month, but it's a very necessary step because you have to learn reading Korean. But starting from month 2, it's gonna get super fun. During month 2, we're going to start building basic vocabulary and basic grammar. We're dedicating 30 minutes a day to vocabulary. First, find a list online with the most common words in Korean. There are tons of those, so you should find many. And then I need you to learn 10 new words every day. In order to effectively learn 10 new words a day, you need to use flashcards. You can just use paper. So you write English on one side or whatever your mother tongue is on one side, and then Korean on the other side. And also, whenever you use the flashcards, make sure to speak out loud. So let's say it says school, then you're gonna say 학교. You check 학교, okay, that's correct. Speak out loud, because especially in the beginning, you need to speak as much as you can to get more comfortable with speaking Korean. And we're gonna dedicate the remaining 30 minutes to grammar. Just find a Korean grammar resource online that you like and start learning basic Korean grammar. Again, here as well, there are tons of good Korean grammar resources. So just type in Korean grammar on Google and you're gonna get a bunch of really good resources. So you're gonna dedicate these 30 minutes to reading grammar lessons. Usually they already put them in an order that makes a lot of sense, but just to give you some idea, I need you to focus on grammar that actually allows you to communicate. So for example, basic sentence structure, that could be your lesson 1, particles, present, past, future tense, negation, questions, wanting to do something, being able to do something, having to do something, connecting sentences, giving reasons, comparisons. These are the type of grammar lessons that would be very suitable for your level. Make sure to start with basic sentence structure and particles. You don't need to 100% master every grammar point. Whenever you forget about a grammar point you already read, you can just look it up again at a later point. So don't feel any pressure about it. In order to gain the most from these 30 minutes of grammar studying every day, it's really important that you don't only read the grammar lesson, but also immediately use the grammar point and make your own sentences using said grammar. So for example, if you learn how to say something in the past tense, make 5 sentences about what you did yesterday. You're gonna have the vocabulary for it because you're dedicating 30 minutes a day to studying vocabulary, so you're gonna be fine. But if you lack the words to make your sentences, just look the words up. And don't worry about finishing all Korean grammar within 1 month. You're going to keep learning grammar throughout the rest of the plan whenever you come across something you don't understand or something you want to say. By the end of month 2, you should know at least, and this is the very minimum, 300 words in Korean and basic Korean grammar. Let's move on to month 3. During month 3, you're still going to dedicate 30 minutes a day to learning 10 new words. Keep using flashcards, keep speaking out loud when you study with your flashcards. And for the remaining 30 minutes, we're going to do reading practice. This is one of my favorite exercises. What you're gonna do is find any type of beginner Korean content with both Korean text and Korean audio. I recommend using Link. Link has a Korean library with beginner-friendly material, including mini stories with audio. This is really a treasure of a resource. You're gonna listen to the text a total of 3 times. During your first listen, just listen. Don't worry about understanding everything, just listen and try to catch as much as you can. Now listen a second time, and while you're listening, you're gonna read along and see how much you can understand just by reading along and listening. It's okay if you don't understand much. This is just practice for you to really connect what a word looks like and what it sounds like. Now you're gonna listen a 3rd time, and this time you're gonna read out loud along with the speaker and try to imitate their pronunciation. Now that we're done with reading and listening and imitating, we're actually gonna study the text. And that's also a big reason why I recommend Link, because on Link you can follow along with the Korean text, and when you come across a word you don't know, you click on it to see the meaning. And you can also save those words as flashcards to review them later. This makes this exercise so much easier because you don't need to constantly stop to look things up. You can just stay within the app. I really like the mini stories for this exercise, but what you can also do is import any Korean show from Netflix or YouTube, or even Korean articles, for example from 어린이 동화, and Link creates an automatic transcript with built-in word explanations. So you can do this exercise with any content you like. You can also use your favorite K-pop song. It's really convenient. I just love the built-in word explanations and flashcards. If you'd like to give it a try, I put the link in the description box. Now let's move on to month 4. During month 4, for 25 minutes a day, we're gonna keep doing the read-along exercise from month 3. One thing I forgot to mention is that other than looking up words you don't know yet, I also recommend looking up grammar you don't know. For example, if you see a verb ending you're not familiar with yet, just look up the word ending and find out what that conjugation means. Other than that, you're gonna do this exercise the same exact way like in month 3. Now to another one of my favorite exercises. this. For the next 25 minutes, we're gonna write a Korean diary. I still do this to this day. So what you're gonna do is grab a paper or a notebook, grab a pen, and handwrite a Korean diary. Write a minimum of 5 sentences, and please, mistakes don't matter. Mistakes don't matter at all. Just write 5 sentences. It's okay to look up things if you need them, so be proactive and look up words and grammar you need. For example, if you want to write I went to school, look up the grammar for the past tense of go and also the grammar point for to. I go to school, and then you'll be able to build a sentence. After you're done with your diary entry, read it out loud once and also record it. For the remaining 10 minutes, you can just revise your flashcards, because at this point you have a lot of flashcards, so keep revising them. Now let's move on to month 5. Now we're going to start speaking Korean more actively. So far you've been reading, listening, writing, and also speaking a little bit by yourself, like during the 3rd listen of the read-along exercise or after writing your Korean diary entry. And now it's time to start putting all of that together. During the first 30 minutes, you're still gonna write your Korean diary entry. Starting from month 5, I need you to write at least 10 sentences a day. You can talk about what you did today, what you're gonna do, what you like, what you think, and remember to keep looking up words and grammar when you need them. And after you finish writing it, read it out loud. Then try to put your diary away and talk about the same thing again without looking at what you wrote. This is a really easy way to practice speaking without having to come up with something from scratch. Next, we're gonna do 20 minutes of actual speaking exercise. What I want you to do is record yourself for 2 to 3 minutes speaking about anything you like. It can be topics like your hobbies, your favorite food, your plans for the weekend, your family, why you're learning Korean, something you watched or read. So really any topic you want to talk about. Maybe you don't want to talk about what you did today, because then it's going to be the same thing like your diary. Don't write out a script first. Just try to work with the words and grammar you do know. Mistakes don't matter. The most important thing is to actually speak. Since you have 20 minutes time for this exercise, after your first try, what you can do is look up around 5 to 10 words that would have been very relevant for what you talked about, and write down those words in a list, and now try to speak about the same topic again with those words in front of you and see if there's any difference. And during the remaining 10 minutes, just review your vocabulary again. At this point, you don't need to feel like you need to memorize every single new word you come across, because the more often you come across a word, the more likely it is to actually stick at one point. You don't need to memorize it right from the start. By the end of month 5, you should be able to talk for a few minutes about familiar topics and have simple conversations, even if you make a lot of mistakes. As I said, mistakes do not matter. Let's move on to month 6. Now you've spent 5 months building your foundation. You've learned Hangul, you built your vocabulary, learned basic grammar, listened to Korean, read Korean, wrote Korean, and spoke Korean. By 6 months, the goal is that you don't get tired of studying Korean and still have fun and actually use Korean as much as possible. So during month 6, we're gonna dedicate the first 20 minutes every day to Korean input. During these 20 minutes, you're allowed to just watch anything you enjoy in Korean. They can be Korean YouTube videos, Korean shows, podcasts, Korean articles, so reading is fine too, Korean social media, or any content you're actually interested in. You're allowed to use Korean subtitles. These 20 minutes are just for your fun Korean consumption. Don't use subtitles in your native language though, and if you want to be proactive, feel free to look up words and grammar you keep coming across. You can also put this content into link to get a transcript and the built-in word explanations. The next 20 minutes are going to be speaking exercise again. This is the same exercise you did during month 5. The only difference is that now I want you to record yourself speaking for 5 minutes. I know it sounds long, but you can do it. Again, make sure not to write a script in advance. Just pick a topic and talk. You can just talk about things like your hobbies, what you did last weekend, your favorite movie. And if you don't feel satisfied satisfied with your performance, feel free to look up some keywords you missed during your first try and then give it another try. Now for the remaining 20 minutes, you're gonna write your Korean diary. You can now write 10 to 15 sentences every day, but if you feel like your day was boring, you didn't do that much, or you're tired of just writing about your day, it's also okay if you write about anything else, like your opinions, things you watched, things you read, your plans, something that happened to you in the past. If you want, you can actually pick the same topic like the speaking exercise. I think this way the vocabulary is really gonna stick. One important thing for month 6, if you find yourself getting tired of any of the exercises, do something else instead in Korean that you enjoy. For example, if you like gaming, you can try playing a game in Korean. If you like cooking, you can find Korean recipes, because we're trying to make Korean something you actually use. By the end of month 6, you should be able to read Korean comfortably, understand basic Korean grammar, know around over 1,000 Korean words, talk about yourself and familiar topics, have simple conversations, and start understanding parts of natural Korean content. If you want to keep studying Korean after month 6 is over, you can just keep doing any of the exercises you actually enjoyed. In my case, what I kept doing after my study plans was the Korean diary. I keep writing my Korean diary till this day, and I still enjoy it. Remember, learning Korean should be fun. Making mistakes does not matter. All that matters is that you're doing something to learn a language you want to learn. That's already very admirable. Have fun studying, and let me know if you'd like to get a video where I recommend specific resources for any of the studying points I mentioned today, like specific vocabulary lists, specific grammar lists, specific apps, and so on. Thank you for watching. If you like this, found this useful, please subscribe, like, write a comment, hype, and I'll see you next week.